How does ghost tapping work? Well, cybersecurity strategist Eward Driehuis joins us now from Delft in the Netherlands, and he has studied it a great deal. Eward, thanks very much for your time today. Perhaps you could start at the beginning. What is the process of this ghost tapping?
Ghost tapping is a two-step process, really. The first step is that victims are being enticed to give up their card information. This is done either with SMS text messaging, so smishing we call that, or for example with fake web shops. Now they are convinced that they need to make a very small payment. This might be a toll booth payment, a parking ticket payment, something like that. So when the victim gives up their information, they also give up their one-time password in order to authenticate the payment. But now comes the smart part. The criminals use that information not to make a payment, but they use that information to provision the card in an Apple or Google wallet. So they use that same information and that one-time password to really steal the card and to make a copy of it on a criminal phone. But now comes the second step. They're not going to use that stolen card on that stolen phone directly. What they want to do is deploy a small group of henchmen to stand in several stores next to several point-of-sale machines. And now the coordinating criminal will order every one of those henchmen that they're going to send the NFC signal, that is the signal you use when you tap to pay. So a small signal is being sent from the mobile phone, and in this case, the criminal catches it and sends it to henchman A. Henchman A will now buy something from that store, and that store can be miles, dozens, or even hundreds of miles away from where the coordinating criminal is. Now, in this way, they can now buy 3 gift cards, for example, or other goods which have a high resale value. Now, the reason they do this is so the original criminal stays out of the line of fire. They're not next to the payment terminal, and the gift cards that can be resold offline, really what they offer them is a way of laundering money. So for them, it's a cash out mechanism.
Wow.
And a money laundering mechanism.
Just incredible. Eward, when did you first come across this?
We stumbled across this by the end of 2024. When we saw these unexplained spendings, our customers asked us, hey, why do our customers seem to teleport? Can you investigate? Now, our team, we created a proof of concept, and indeed there seemed to be some evidence as early as 2017, a university from Germany showed that something like this was theoretically possible. Now, by the end of last year, we saw for the first time that criminals were actually using and selling these methods online for other criminals.
Wow, what are the banks doing about it?
Now, the banks, of course, since the first step, always include social engineering, right? So in order to steal the card, the victim needs to give up the information to a criminal. So the banks, of course, warn against this. They warn, be careful what you give up, be careful clicking links in SMS text messages or fake web shops. It's pretty much the same warnings they have always given. But of course, the second step now is, well, if you've given up your information, that means that you're not just have the ability to be defrauded. You now also have the possibility that a criminal, maybe days, months later, will use that information to defraud you. Now, if you're months later or weeks later, you very likely can't remember that initial text message that led to your card being stolen initially. So the second step is, of course, about the Google and the Apple wallets and the security built in there. Once your information is social engineered, it's actually very easy to provision cards on new criminal phones.
Wow.
And the dialogue with big tech is another step that the banks are taking.